No matter how much time has passed, there's still no place like home. And just so you know, I'm not referring to the 1939 classic film, The Wizard of Oz, where Judy Garland uttered those famous words. I'm talking about 227, the 1980s TV sitcom where those same words were used in its catchy and unforgettable theme song.
There's no place like home. With your family around you, you're never alone.
Fun fact, that's Marla Gibbs' voice you hear over the opening credits.
There's no place like home.
227 debuted on NBC on September 14, 1985, and ran for 5 seasons before going off the air on May 6, 1990. The series was actually an extension of a play called 227 that was based on writer Christine Houston's childhood experiences growing up in an apartment building in Chicago that included that number in its address. She wrote the play for a playwriting contest at the school she was attending, Kennedy King College, never dreaming it would go anywhere. In fact, the reason she was in school to begin with, at the age of 42, was to show her sons how important it was to get an education. She went on to win first place, and with it came a trip to Los Angeles, where she got the opportunity to write an episode of The Jeffersons, getting the attention of one of the show's stars, Marla Gibbs. Years later, NBC was looking for a show for Marla to star in after The Jeffersons came to an end and bought the television rights to Christine's play. Once that deal was struck, a few of Christine's original story outlines were changed, such as the time period, moving from the 50s to the 80s, the location moving from Chicago to Washington, D.C., and the written-out title of 227 was changed to numerals. Since the powers that be behind the scenes didn't want to give Marla official executive producer credits, what she was able to do, with the help of her attorney, was to secure all the courtesies, rights, and privileges of the position. And boy, did she run with it. She had her hands in everything, from editing to writing to casting.
The person that Norman Lear had on the show as a set producer, I ended up firing because when I went for a meeting with him, you can always tell when somebody's had a meeting when you walk in a room before you get there. And so he was sitting there, and he said, well, Marla has some things that she wants and some things I can't accommodate her on. So they got to me, I said, tell us what those things are that you can't accommodate. He said, well, I see no reason for Lester to be in the show. The network wants Marla to own the building. I said, there are 3 things. I will not, under any circumstances, own the building, because my romance with the people is that I'm one of them. I'm one of the have-nots. For me to own the business and be the boss makes me a have. I don't know what that would do to my career, and I'm not willing to find out. I said, I gotta have a man, because for 11 seasons I haven't had a man, and the public keeps asking me, why don't they let you have a man? So obviously they want to see me with a man. So I gotta have a man. I said, and the 3rd thing, I would like for the show to be in California, because we're on the stoop, and you can be outside all the time. So I won the first 2, the 3rd one, we had it in Maryland somewhere. Mm-hmm. So, but I gave that up.
Fun fact, though Marla didn't name who she butted heads with, it appears that it probably was Michael G. Moy. The TV writer and producer has stated in interviews that he left the series after only being involved with the pilot due to creative differences in the direction of the show between himself and Marla, because she wanted 227 to be a more issues-oriented show, while he wanted a more comedy-driven show. Apparently, his experience left such a bad taste in his mouth that he refused to have his real name attached to the project as a co-creator, and is instead credited under the pseudonym C.J. Banks. 227 followed the lives of people in a middle-class apartment building, 227 Lexington Place, in Northeast Washington, D.C. The show was centered around Mary Jenkins, her husband Lester, played by Hal Williams, who had his own construction company, and their daughter Brenda, played by Regina King, in her first television acting role, who was a smart and studious teen, but still enjoyed getting into all the things that kids her age typically do. Since Regina was so inexperienced in the world of television and film roles, both Hal and Marla took it upon themselves to show her the ropes. Also cast was Sandra Clark, played by Jack A. Harry, Mary's younger neighbor.
Mary.
Oh, Mary.
Mary.
The two women weren't too fond of each other and constantly went back and forth about their respective views on life. While Mary was a happily married housewife with a stable lifestyle, Sandra was a man-hungry serial dater who dressed provocatively to ensure all eyes stayed on her. Although their relationship was antagonistic at first, Mary and Sandra became good friends as time went on. Pearl Shea, played by Helen Martin, was the feisty but kind-hearted neighbor who was known for snooping. She lived with her grandson, Calvin Dobbs, played by Curtis Baldwin, who ended up in Pearl's care due to his mother being deceased and his father being in the military. The crushes that Brenda and Calvin initially had on each other would lead them to finally begin dating later in the series' run. Rosalie Holloway, played by Elena Reed Hall, was a widow with one daughter and Mary's best friend. Both were often seen on the front stoop of the building gossiping, with Pearl adding her 2 cents from her front window. Fun fact, Elena met her future husband, Kevin Peter Hall, who played recurring character Warren Merriweather while taping 227. The couple's characters would also marry on the show. Rose's daughter, Tiffany, played by Kia Goodwin, was a teenager and close friends with Brenda. At one point, though, Tiffany stopped appearing in episodes beginning in season 3. Later, the reason for her disappearance was said to be due to her mother being unhappy in California. So Kia got let out of her contract and written out of the series. In the pilot episode, due to their landlord passing away, Mary is worried about a possible eviction, believing that her nemesis Sandra is in line to inherit the building because of the intimate relationship she had with him. But surprise, surprise, Rose ends up being the one bequeathed the building.
I, therefore, with a clear conscience, leave 227, lock, stock, and barrel to the woman who makes the best apple pie I've ever tasted.
Apple pie? We never used apple pie.
Mrs. Rosalie Holloway.
Oh, Rose, you're rich!
Fun fact, even though this one is labeled as the pilot, it aired out of order as the 6th episode, so that later episodes could be aired first and explain the characters better. Both Pearl and Calvin are billed as recurring characters in the first season, even though they appeared in nearly every episode. Beginning in season 2, though, they officially became series regulars. While the sitcom revolved around the black tenants in the building, and while it may be easy to label 227 a black comedy, its appeal transcended skin color. The Jenkins family was a solid nuclear middle-class family that showed people can have some of the same issues regardless of race. Initially, the Jenkins family, and more specifically Mary, were the intended focus of 227. Some say, though, that quickly shifted to Sandra, who regularly stole scenes with her comedic sharpness. Jackie was so good at portraying her that she won an Emmy Award for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy for the role, making her the first African-American to receive the prestigious accolade. Not surprisingly, all the attention that the character received from fans did cause some friction between Jackie and Marla on set, but they've both insisted that there was no real feud. As much as fans loved seeing Jackie play Sandra, years later she claimed that she hated herself during the show's run.
I used to hate myself. The fact that I was just doing a part, I didn't know it was going to last this long. I was just doing part to keep the part. You know, I never thought I'd make it this long. I was going to go back to New York and get back into what I was doing, plays, theater. Nice men I was seeing. I had a great life. Came to Hollywood and never got back. I had down-to-earth dreams, not being, a character. I don't want to get too deep about it because I've come to grips with it. I was sad for a good 5 years straight. Like, I can't think I can't act. You know, you hear S.C. Pathamerkus, and she took me aside. She said, Jackie, you're very important. You make us laugh, and you're fierce. And she had a long talk with me because I told her I felt so bad. It's like, I can't act. Nobody, She jacked me up against the wall and let me know. And it helped. And it helped me thinking in a different way. So I feel better, but it took some doing.
In the 4th season, a new main character came on the scene in the form of 11-year-old child prodigy Alexandria DeWitt, played by Countess Vaughn. She became the Jenkins' house guest while her father was on an archaeological dig in the Amazon. Countess was cast in the role after NBC executives saw her on Star Search and were impressed by her appearances. The character didn't last long, though, and Alexandria left during Calvin's graduation episode near the end of that same season to reunite with her father. In 2014, during a stint on reality show Hollywood Divas, Countess opened up about feeling ostracized as a child actor working on the set of 227. Being a child on the set, I was bored running through the hallways and I heard a conversation I shouldn't have heard. I kept the conversation in the back of my mind, like, is that what people really think at the end of the day? Especially at that age, it was traumatic. To have someone smile in your face and later, especially being an elder, who had those views of me, but I kept it to myself. She also added that she doesn't consider herself a victim and has moved forward from the experience. After doing some internet sleuthing, it appears that the person Countess was speaking of was Helen Martin. Jacquet even vouched for her sharp tongue in a 2021 tweet. Helen Martin, she was tough. One day we had a break filming 227 and she leaned out that window, looked at me and said, "You think you the star of this, don't ya?" I turned around and said, "Yeah, you old bitch, I am." I mean, come on. She had to be high to talk to me any which way. After 227's fourth season, Jacquet's television pilot, titled Jacquet, aired. It found Sandra moving to New York City and finding work at a health spa. Even though it didn't get picked up, Jacquet still left 227 as a full-time cast member. She did appear occasionally as a guest star in several of the final season's episodes. Rose stayed on as landlady until the fourth season, after which Paul Winfield was introduced as the building's new landlord, and next new main character, Julian C. Barlow. Also in the show's final season, Tukey Smith, Barry Sobel, and Stoney Jackson joined as series regulars in an effort to give the show a pick-me-up. It was all for naught though, as 227 still came to an end in the spring of 1990. Today, 227 is available to stream on a variety of services, including Amazon Prime and Hulu.